The Percy Jackson Disney Plus show just got a new trailer, and to say the least, it's crazy. First of all, I think this trailer did a much better job at showcasing the show and what it's about. I mean, by just looking at how many more views it got compared to the original teaser trailer, I think many others would agree as well. But let's get into the breakdown. The trailer opens with some establishing shots of the city and the Metropolitan Art Museum, where Percy and the class go during a field trip at the beginning of the book. The skyline shows that the show takes place in the current year and not in the early 2000s like in the books, as there are a few modern buildings present that did not exist during the early 2000s. Riptide also plays in the background, which is a nod to Percy's sword also being called Riptide. Then we get a shot of Percy looking up at a statue of Perseus, his namesake, while he narrates the reader in the start of the book.
My name is Percy Jackson. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah, you could say that.
This really shows that they're trying much harder to keep to the source material. Then we get a shot of how he perceives dyslexia. This is because, as we all know in the books, his mind is hardwired for Greek. This is a really cool way of showing it visually. Then we see a shot of a buzzing pen, which is probably Riptide, as we also see Mrs. Dodds coming to kill him as she turns into a fury. This strangely takes place outside in the open in front of everyone, instead of in an isolated room by themselves like in the books. I wonder what the explanation for this is, and how the mist potentially concealed it. Then we get a shot of Grover getting knocked in the head by a girl's backpack. If we look closely, we can assume this to be Nancy Bobofet, Percy's bully at Yancey Academy. Grover then reassures Percy it's okay, probably so Percy doesn't get into any trouble. Then we see a shot of Sally Jackson revealing to Percy that Greek gods are indeed real in the cabin, which is located in Montauk. This is followed by a shot of Zeus in the throne room looking clean as hell, and then the campers running across a bridge. Then there's a shot of Grover arriving to take Percy to Camp Half-Blood, and Percy also discovering Grover's a satyr.
Grover, why is there half a goat in your pants?
So the important thing is not to panic.
This is followed by some amazing shots of the camp. This is exactly how I imagined it looking like when I read the books. Then we see Clarice hyping up her team right before they probably play Capture the Flag. Some more shots of Annabeth and Grover at the camp. Next we see Chiron revealing that the lightning bolt has been stolen and the quest is to retrieve it. Next we see a pretty serious shot of Percy in the rain after what we assumed to be Percy seeing his mom get turned into dust. Then we see a shot of the underworld and Hades greeting them. The underworld looks amazing, and you can clearly see that they are putting their massive budget to work. Next we see Medusa's lair at Auntie M's Gnome Emporium, and it seems a lot more unsettling than it did in the movies. Then we see the trio in front of the infamous Lotus Casino, where they get sucked in. Could there potentially be a Nico or Bianca cameo? Next we see Ares on a motorcycle looking dope as hell. This is probably where Ares tells the trio that they have to retrieve the shield. Next we see some shots of them at Waterland trying to fulfill that side quest. We see them jump out of the boat, probably when they realize it's a trap and don't want to appear on Olympus TV. Then we see Annabeth looking at some creepy statue-like figure. This is probably in the underworld and in the fields of Asphodel. Then there's a shot of Percy hugging Annabeth. Then we see a shot of Echidna and what I think is during the St. Louis Arch scene, where he has to fight the Chimera and eventually jumps over 600 feet into the river. Finally, the trailer ends with the scene where Percy, Sally, and Grover are trying to escape the Minotaur and are trying to make it to Camp Half-Blood. We see the car flip over and what I think is the Minotaur claiming Sally Jackson. The final shot is Percy epically charging into battle against the Minotaur. This is probably the coolest and my favorite shot of this entire trailer. And that's the entire trailer. What do you guys think? I think this is a massive improvement over the last trailer, and it did a much better job of showcasing how cool the show is gonna be. I also think it shows how much harder they're trying to make sure it's as accurate to source material as possible, unlike the movies. This is truly what Percy Jackson fans have been waiting for.